Welcome to the Bachelor Universe podcast. I am your host, Jim Alexander. We are going over the finale of The Bachelorette JoJo season. So the final two guys it came down to was Robbie and Jordan Baby Rogers, the brother of Aaron Rodgers. These two, quickly before we get into the episode, Jordan was a shoo-in from the beginning. He was not a surprise at all. He was a fan favorite. Well, not necessarily a favorite of every fan, but a favorite to make it to the end. According to fans and everyone who watches the show, pretty much had a feeling that Jordan would be in the final two. Whether he wins it or not, that was the question that remains to be seen. But Robbie really got in here as a wild card. No one really expected Robbie to get to this point. He kind of floated through the season. There were some episodes towards the end where he started calling himself a front runner. But those were self-proclaimed marks. Those weren't actual facts or anything based on people's predictions or just the way he was being booked on the show. So that was a big surprise to see Robbie go in the end, get to the final two, and Luke not even making it to the final three. That was a big shocker because Luke was beloved by the fan base. It looked like a shoo-in to be the Bachelor with everything, with his look, his story. He just had that Bachelor swag to him. So to see him not even make it to the final two was surprising because in my early predictions I had Luke and Jordan squaring off in a final, and I believe I had Luke winning it. So did I miss the boat on that one or what? But yeah, Luke gets eliminated early, a couple weeks before, right after hometowns. Chase, another surprise, making it to the final three. That was surprising. I just didn't see Chase getting that far. He was really boring and quiet throughout. Not much came away from him. So to see him get that far was surprising. But yeah, so there brings us to Robbie. The pink-shirted salmon Robbie is what we call him. The Michael Phelps of The Bachelorette, whatever that means. So yeah, the finale starts out with the parents, as it always does. The parents, come out to help JoJo make a decision. Of course, the episode has Chris Harrison live in the studio. He introduces the episode. He introduces Ben and Lauren, who are in the audience. Now, it looks like Ben and Lauren are going to be the new tag-alongs, maybe the new Sean and Catherine. As long as Ben and Lauren stay together, they'll be featured a lot. So back to Thailand, which is where the action's taking place. JoJo's torn. She doesn't know who to pick. Her family arrives to Thailand. So Jordan's the first one to meet him. He comes out with flowers and introduces himself to the family. JoJo's mom, Soraya, is so impressed with how Jordan appears to be genuine, which is hilarious in a sense. So apparently Jordan tries to lighten the mood, and he introduces to some family tradition of wearing these silly, goofy hats. There's no way Aaron Rodgers wants to be perceived as a tough NFL quarterback if he had to ever wear these silly hats. So, thanks, Jordan, for smothering your family name with those silly hats. Then mom gets a chit chat with Jordan. She does get the perception that he gets a lot of attention from females and how insecure about men JoJo actually is. So what does Jordan do? Of course he does his best stumbling and bumbling act and just tries to work his way out of it like he always does. But then JoJo has a chat with her mom to follow up on what it was like with Jordan. And of course, mom says, I love Jordan. Who doesn't love Jordan? Who doesn't like Jordan? Same thing. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't. Certainly his brother doesn't. But mom is sold on Jordan. Although JoJo's dad was kind of putting Jordan on a spot there, putting him in an unease in a sense. And he leaves without asking for her hand in marriage. So he leaves without asking the parents for that. So will that come back to bite him? Well, Robbie's up next. So Robbie arrives in a little red car wagon. That's been his shtick. He's been arriving in these like little wagons, or I don't even know what do you call them, all season long, some goofy little rides. He starts bragging and telling about how he loves JoJo and how they fell in love on the cliff. And basically it produces a deadpan stoic reaction from Papa JoJo. Not impressed. Her brothers do approve Robbie. Those are the same brothers that hated Ben Higgins and grilled him. But apparently Robbie gets approval. Bet Jordan didn't get that endorsement. Mom, on the other hand, who loved Jordan, she has concerns about Robbie. The whole trust issue is a topic again. Robbie's claiming he's 100% committed to JoJo for life. But, he is a suck-up, so he invites mom and dad to the room for a conversation. He asks JoJo's hand in marriage, and the blessing was given. And then, of course, JoJo starts gushing about Robbie after she sees her dad crying when he talked to him. Family discussion, and the plan apparently seems to be to pitch the hell out of Robbie to JoJo. Family's on the Robbie bandwagon. And the family agrees that he's marriage material, and Jordan probably isn't. Of course, Jordan will find a way to skirt around the issue. So JoJo, on the other hand, is fighting for Jordan. As everyone is pitching Robbie, she's sort of doing the opposite and pitching Jordan. So there we go, back to front-running Robbie. So she gets final dates with the guys. Robbie's first this time around. They basically hang out on an empty beach, which is no surprise. And Robbie talks about some nonsense about overcooking meatloaf. I don't even know. I mean, can he, be the pick and then what? He serenades her with meatloaf? You're cooked, bro. Literally and figuratively. So he has a gift for her. He keeps on telling her about wanting to propose to her, all that stuff. But he does have a gift for her. And the gift is... he gives her pictures, and one of the photos is of him coming out of the limo on the first night. Another of them on that cliff. I don't know how these are considered gifts, but according to Robbie, pictures of himself is what every woman wants. That's what seals a marriage. Now it's Jordan's date, so that was kind of uneventful. Jordan comes out with his fabulous hair, and he really does have fabulous hair. They go on a boat ride, and she's bothered. She can't get over the fact that he didn't ask her parents, her father, for her hand in marriage. And that's what bothers her, that Robbie did that and Jordan doesn't. So what does Jordan do in return? Of course, he starts backtracking and skirting around the issue, avoiding a topic. I swear, this guy dodges questions better than any quarterback dodges, pass rushers. He's the equivalent, basically, of a quarterback dodging Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, insert any elite NFL pass rusher. So he's the most elusive guy on a scramble you could ever have. But this scramble is called the dating game and life, and marriage and that sort of stuff. So Jordan has mastered something after all. And his reasoning was you never know until you know, quote unquote. So he's going with that. But it doesn't even seem like he might be able to talk out of this mess. And she's angry, but he's also full of regret for not asking. So now it's the big moment, the ring moment where the rings are brought out. So we start out morning. Robbie's in the shower because, of course, we need to see Robbie soap himself up. Like that's something we've been waiting for all season. Not really. Neil Lane arrives. Now, at this point, as many appearances as Neil Lane has made on this show, you might as well make him the next Bachelor. I mean, you might as well make this guy a regular, put him in Paradise, do something so you don't have to constantly bring him in every season, every proposal. He's been on more Bachelor episodes than any other member besides maybe Chris Harrison. Like, we need to realize that Neil Lane is a Bachelor Hall of Famer due to his constant and frequent visits. So he arrives. The moment clarity brought to Ben, is Jordan going to be ready for it? Well, let's see. Jordan does do something where he calls, phone call, to JoJo's parents. He's sweating it. So yeah, there you go. 2-minute warning, not so much. 2-second warning, right there, before the proposal. So he does get the blessing over the phone, which is kind of meaningless, but oh well. So yeah, he takes a note and writes her and tells her he got the parents' approval because, of course, we write actual letters. So if Jordan tries to mail this one out, it will probably arrive sometime where a regular Bachelor couple would be breaking up after the show. So yeah, probably snail mail is not the right choice. I mean, my audition casting tape for The Bachelor would probably get to the casting quicker than that. So yeah, hopefully he didn't do that. That's not a good method. So Jordan and Neil encounter. That was quite a sight. Neil shakes the hell out of Jordan and pulls him forward with a vicious handshake. I mean, you got to give props to Neil Lane on this handshake. I mean, just the manliest handshake you will see. He isn't playing around, ladies and gentlemen. Neil Lane is legit. So yeah, Jordan can decide on a ring. And you kind of wonder how he could call out a football player, decide on a football play, if he can't even pick a ring. Yeah. So Jordan gets prepped up then and picks a ring and gets the lint off his shirt. So he's ready. Robbie also writes a letter. So these two, if they mail out both of their letters, it will probably arrive next season, before the next Bachelor starts. So not a good method of proclaiming things. I don't know what's going on with these letters. But upon reading those letters, so apparently they were delivered, JoJo's getting a panic attack. So there you go. Thanks, guys. So now the big final moment. Chris Harrison, after a commercial, live in the studio, he introduces the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders in the audience. I mean, who isn't there at this point? I don't know what these cheerleaders are doing, but they're hot. Keep them there. So yeah, the final decision. JoJo walking down the beach, looking amazing. I mean, you talk about a cleavage-filled dress, and just this chick can rock anything and make it look amazing. So we see a little bit of Robbie, and he's wearing like a all navy blue, not even navy, just kind of like dark blue seersucker, shirt. So yeah, I don't know. That kind of looked like Robbie circa 1976, maybe, with that choice of a suit. I don't know. Or maybe he's like a news anchor in North Dakota or something. So, there you go. So, Robbie, you're about to beat a guy, don't you? He doesn't like the idea of JoJo being hurt at rose ceremonies, and so he's the first one up, and he starts giving his speech, and JoJo looks stoic. This is never a good look in these rose ceremonies, final ones. So it's coming. And then she finally breaks up a speech. She tells Robbie how badly she wanted to be him, but it is not him. Robbie, of course, grabs his head in distraught ways and almost as if like he was stuck by a baseball in the head. That kind of reaction. Like, what's going on with Robbie, guys? We need a medic. Check him for concussion protocol, because what we know right now is that he gone. Robbie is done. So will it be Jordan now? There's one left. So JoJo goes from crying over Robbie, who kind of storms off in a way and doesn't really want to talk to her. And kudos to him for that. He's entitled to that reaction. So then she's crying over Robbie, and suddenly, as soon as the thought of Jordan comes up, hey, she's feeling great and recovers really quick. So then Jordan comes down. Yes, baby Rogers. He starts giving his speech, and there's an immediate difference you can see in her face. Clearly, this time around, she is not stoic or anything. She is ready for this guy. So there's a different look on her face. Jordan talks, gets down on his knee, pops the question. She says yes. Her hands are shaking. And that is it, folks. Jordan's biggest victory of his life, the closest to that Super Bowl feeling that he will ever get, is right there. That's all she wrote. Jordan is the man, finally. No NFL team wanted him, but finally JoJo picks him and drafts him with her number one pick. Baby Rogers, Jordan Baby Rogers is the winner of The Bachelorette. It was in the cards from the start, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise they ended up together. It was all really weighing on who else is going to make the Final Four, who else is going to be in the final. Surprised it was Robbie, but this winner, Jordan, being the man in the end, no surprise at all. So that was it. And, they kiss, hug, all that, and the show's over. So now, after final rose, get that special always, right after the show. Chris Harrison does a preview, introduces the Bachelor people in the audience, and brings out Robbie ASAP. There's no waiting. Robbie comes out in all gray suit with these overly pearly whites. Like, this dude must have like some crazy good super whitening solution. Like, he's just not getting the Colgate, 4 shades whiter or ultra white, or that thing. No, he's not doing no strips. He's not doing any of this stuff. He's got some serious ass whitening system going on. So whoever wants to get their teeth whitened, you go to Robbie. Don't even ask your dentist. Like, this guy knows how to get his teeth whitened. So impressive, very impressive. So Robbie immediately begins to talk about shock and disappointment and how he was blindsided, quote unquote. And that's such a huge word. The last 2 years of The Bachelor, everyone's been blindsided. I mean, you've had half of the cast blindsided the last 2 seasons. It's the favorite word everyone uses. I don't know why and where they think they're getting blindsided from. Doesn't make much sense, but that is the new slogan on the show. So Chris Harrison asks him if he's still in love with JoJo. He kind of answers that he respects her and walks around answering that, really. So typical Robbie way, but it looks like he does. So cool. Chris Harrison announces that after a break, JoJo will be coming out and meeting Robbie for the first time since that anticlimactic roast ceremony and his dismissal. So JoJo comes out to face Robbie. He wants answers. She it's funny because she sort of backtracks as she says that she loves the man he is. It's like, oh, I love the man you are, but I don't really love you. Tells him how she wanted to give him closure. And he wants to know why one of the loves was stronger. So why her love for Jordan was stronger. She did tell Robbie right here that her heart was always with Jordan, which is really confirming the obvious. It wasn't the love that she wanted for the rest of her life with Robbie. And damn, I'm still thinking Robbie's teeth are impressive. So she tells him that she's happy, and Robbie takes the high road and tells her that he's happy for her. As they kind of go to commercial, a shot of Jordan fixing his hair in a green room is incredibly planted, because we of course know that that's such a huge focus of this season is his hair. So seeing him work on it in a green room after it was done by makeup and hair people, of course. Yeah. So after a break, she elaborates how difficult it was to tell Robbie that he wasn't the one and how she didn't want to hurt him. So it's basically starting to go on repeat. So Harrison asks JoJo who should be the next Bachelor. She mentions Chase and Luke. Then not surprisingly, another planted move. Chad gets up from the audience. So yeah, he was there. And volunteers and nominates himself as the next Bachelor. Some people actually applaud it. You talk about planted applaud. Probably said on that thing, please applaud, that flashing sign. So yeah, they are clearly, obviously, overly pushing Chad. It's just so forced. But JoJo blames the media and tabloids about the difficulty of her relationship with Jordan and how they're trying to separate them. The media is, apparently. So of course she's got to blame someone. But here we are. JoJo and Jordan reunited. So this is the moment of them finally together. Jordan comes out, hair still on point. He credits the ability to be real with each other, and that's how they're maintaining their relationship. JoJo says it's been difficult for them to getting through the bumps, but they are. Harrison brings up all those tabloid covers and asks them about the tabloid rumors. They do admit to not being kind of able to get through, know how to get through all these accusations. And Jordan brings up the fact there isn't a quote-unquote playbook to deal with that. Yeah, because we know you've never looked into one. How ironic. You would think that he would learn a playbook in NFL being like a third or fourth stringer, but there we go. Probably didn't even do that. So that's why he's on this show and not in the NFL somewhere. So, of course, Harrison shamelessly promotes their People magazine cover story, which is something they do every season. So, of course, Jordan and JoJo will have one. Jordan announces they will have a house in Dallas ready for them to move into. So, we know someone is getting the Fletcher support. So the Fletcher plan is in place already. Meaning that she lives in Dallas and he doesn't. He lives in Nashville or California. But Daddy Fletcher must be getting him that made house already. So they talk about the move being immediate, and Jordan throws around a tentative word and date for a wedding next year. So, Jordan coming up with wedding dates and all. Interesting. So, of course, Chris Harrison has to address the monkey in the room, which is the relationship with the Rogers brother controversy, Jordan, of course, gives a political answer and walks around it again. He refuses to address the Aaron situation. JoJo hasn't met Aaron, and she probably never will. But yeah, it's just I don't know what's between those two. Is it because of Olivia Munn? There could be 1,000 different reasons why these guys, Aaron and Jordan, dislike each other and don't talk to each other. You know, they definitely have a strained relationship. Something happened for sure. So of course, Chris Harrison proposes a wedding at Cowboy Stadium with barbecue, trying to sell out the venue for a Jordan and JoJo wedding. And by selling out venue, he probably means just packing one of the suites with a few people, because in 100,000 plus stadium, yeah, Jordan can't even get his brother in there. So there you go. Even though he won a Super Bowl in there. Kind of a nudge, wasn't that? That's kind of cold. But they are both, JoJo and Jordan, excited to be together and live a normal life, which really won't be normal. But Harrison is sure that their perception will change of them, the public's, and that everything will be great for them, and that how evident is that they're happy. So, of course, Harrison, as he ends it, throws it to Ben and Lauren. Ben congratulates them. Ben talks about fighting criticism and navigating through it. And then Ben makes reference to some 15-year-old girl in Idaho about calling him out on Twitter. So yeah, thanks for pointing fingers at some 15-year-old kid in Idaho, Ben. Jeez. Commercial time, of course. After commercial, Harrison drops a bombshell engagement gift to Jordan and JoJo, courtesy of the Bachelor family. So what is this trip? I mean, you would think Bachelor, has a trip for them. Big bombshell. Budget maybe is kind of back on track. And the present is, it's a trip to a remote resort they had gone in Pennsylvania early in the season. So, yeah. Clearly, this is an update. The show budget is back to being at an all-time low. Has to be. So you're going to, not only were they there already weeks ago, they are going back there. Who wants to go in some woods in Pennsylvania in the middle of nowhere? This is not a gift. This is a punishment, potentially. So Chris Harrison blows it big time. And The Bachelor for doing that. So, of course, the highlights of Bachelor in Paradise air, and Jordan and JoJo shamelessly make out, and the show is over, and the season's over, and that's all she wrote. The season of The Bachelorette is concluded. So my thoughts on the overall season. Well, first of all, the finale. Finale went like the finale usually goes. Pretty predictable, no major shockers. Yeah, just kind of a plain episode, just one of these guys will be picked. This time it was Jordan. No surprise. But on the season overall, I thought it was actually a pretty good season. Caitlin's had drama, obviously, because you had the Sean versus Nick feud. This one didn't really have a major feud besides Chad, obviously, versus the world, versus the house, versus everyone. And they milked that for a while. But that ultimately, after he was gone, there's a little bit about Derek they were trying to force in there, but nothing really materialized. There was not a major feud, which is okay. You don't need it all the time to have a big feud on the show. But this season was dramatic, and it mainly was Chadzilla. I mean, so much emphasis on Chad all year long, all season long, that is. He was the main instigator. It almost became his show in a lot of ways, because for a few weeks there, the focus was just on Chad. You even forgot about JoJo or anything else. That was all secondary. So, kudos to... I'm falling asleep. Thanks. Bachelor's putting me to sleep. Kudos to ABC for finding a way to keep it entertaining. But you had some interesting characters come out of this season. You had Evan, erectile dysfunction guy. You had obviously Chad, all-time villain, one of the top ones, top three easily. You had Jordan Rodgers, brother of a famous NFL quarterback. You had Luke, who has checks off the box for everything they want in a bachelor. You really had some interesting, and you had your boring guys like Chase. You had your surprise guys like Robbie, which was a surprise he made it to the end. So this season wasn't overly dramatic, but it had some interesting turns and twists and really surprising way how things turn out at the end. So overall, a really good and interesting season of The Bachelorette. We had a super hot Bachelorette. You can't go wrong with JoJo. That was a great choice. Absolutely. Jordan definitely added to the intrigue from the outside viewers and attention. And you had some crazy moments. These cliffhangers were good, especially when Chad was around. You just didn't know what he was going to do or where he's going to go. His feud with Evan, that was interesting. I mean, David versus Goliath. You had Daniel, the unfunny comedian. You had some really intriguing mixes in that house. And yeah, ultimately they were pretty close to each other, most of the guys. But yeah, it was a good season, good pick. Couldn't imagine if it was Kayla. That would have been messy and bad and boring. They casted well. They got the right guy in there in Jordan to keep it interesting, and definitely got the right Bachelorette. So a grade wise, I'd give it this season an A minus. So pretty really solid season. Drama early on, mainly due to Chad. A lot of gimmicky things came out of it. You had the Chad meat stuff, which is now like a huge thing. Him always eating meat and talking about it. And then, Baby Rogers with his perfect hair, with his poof, swoosh. Impressive as it gets. So there it is. That was your season of The Bachelorette. JoJo. A lot of these people are coming back to Paradise. I will talk about this next. I will do a recap of the entire season of Bachelor in Paradise. So make sure you listen to that. And there's a lot of familiar names from JoJo's season and Ben's season. So we will be seeing a lot of people returning and see if they changed. What's the update? What are they going to be like? Are we going to get new all-timers from that show? So we will see. Time to check out Bachelor in Paradise. But for now, I thank you for joining me this season on the recap of The Bachelorette. It was a fun one, so hopefully you stay tuned. Keep on downloading. Always download. Tell your friends. Tell your family to check out the Bachelor Universe podcast. So yeah, it's all over iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your stuff. That's where you can get it. So make sure to check it out whenever you get a chance. Bachelor Universe, or just Google me on Bachelor Universe. Google Bachelor Universe. See what happens on Google. You can go to bacheloruniverse.wordpress.com to check out my blog, updated frequently, so especially with recaps. So do all those things. Like me on Twitter at JimRKO. That's at JIMRKO on Twitter, and we can interact that way more. But coming up, Bachelor in Paradise, we say so long to JoJo's season of The Bachelorette. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere and keep on tuning in. Alright, see ya.